Think about the last time you had something really important to do. Maybe it was studying for an exam. Maybe it was finishing that project for work. Or maybe it was finally going to the gym like you promised yourself. You sat down. You told yourself, all right, let's get started. But then, your phone buzzed. You thought, I'll just check this one notification. 5 minutes turned into 30. 30 turned into an hour. And suddenly, the day is gone. You feel frustrated, guilty, maybe even a little angry at yourself. You ask, why do I always do this? Why can't I just get things done? This cycle has a name, procrastination. And here's the thing most people don't realize. It's not about being lazy. It's about how our brain reacts to big, overwhelming tasks. Today I want to share with you a simple mental model that can completely change the way you see procrastination. A principle so powerful that once you understand it, starting will never feel the same again. I call it the Domino Rule. When people think about procrastination, they usually blame themselves. They say, I'm just lazy. I don't have discipline. I'll never change. But here's the truth. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's a psychological response. Our brain sees a big, intimidating task, like write a 10-page paper or start a new business idea, and it instantly feels stress. That stress creates discomfort, and our natural instinct is to escape discomfort. So what do? We reach for something easy, something that gives us quick relief. Scrolling through social media, watching another video, checking emails. It's not that we don't want to do the work. Deep down, we actually do. It's that our brain is wired to avoid pain, and big tasks look painful. Once you understand this, everything changes. Because procrastination is not a permanent flaw. It's simply your mind choosing comfort over discomfort. And if we can trick the mind into seeing action as small and simple instead of big and painful, procrastination loses its power. That's where the domino rule comes in. At its core, procrastination comes down to how our brains are wired. We are designed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Thousands of years ago, this kept us alive, avoiding danger and chasing food. But today, this wiring works against us. When you think about a big task, like run 5 miles or write a full report, your brain exaggerates the difficulty. It says, this is going to be hard. This will be painful. Let's protect ourselves by avoiding it. So instead of running, you watch TV. Instead of writing, you scroll. This is procrastination, not laziness, but a survival mechanism in the wrong environment. Imagine lining up a row of dominoes. The first one is tiny. The next is slightly bigger. And each domino after that is larger than the one before it. Now here's the crazy part. A domino can knock down another domino that's 1.5 times its size. Which means, if you start with a small one, you can eventually topple something huge. This is what I call the domino rule. Big goals don't fall all at once. They fall after you tip the very first small piece. Think about this. Starting is often the hardest part. But the moment you take the very first step, open the document, put on your shoes, write just one sentence, the resistance weakens. It's like pushing that first domino. It might feel small and insignificant, but it creates momentum. And momentum makes the next step easier, and the next one, until the big scary task doesn't feel scary anymore. Let's take studying. Sitting down to study for 5 hours feels impossible. Your brain screams, that's way too much. But what if you tell yourself, I'm just going to open the book and read 1 page? That's your first domino. Once you do it, you'll probably think, well, since I'm already here, I might as well read a little more. Before you know it, you've studied for an hour. Here's a mistake most people make, waiting for motivation. They think, once I feel inspired, I'll start. But motivation is unreliable. If you sit around waiting for it, you'll never get anything done. Action comes first. Motivation comes after. It's only when you tip that first domino that you feel motivated, not the other way around. Each small action you take is like knocking down another domino. And every time you do, you build momentum. You feel progress. This creates a loop of positive energy, a series of small wins that push you forward. Instead of thinking about climbing the whole mountain, you just focus on one step. And each step makes the next easier. Here's how it works. Action, progress, motivation, more action. It's a cycle. And it always starts with that very first small step. When you procrastinate, you're stuck in the opposite cycle. Inaction, guilt, less motivation, more inaction. The domino rule flips the cycle back in your favor. Close your eyes and imagine a chain of dominoes. The first one is so tiny you can barely see it. The last one is taller than a building. Push the first, and eventually, the giant falls. That's exactly how goals work. You don't need to conquer everything today. You just need to push the first small domino. Oh, here's the strategy. Whenever you're faced with a huge task, ask yourself, what's the smallest version of this I can do right now? If the task is write a book, the smallest domino is open a blank page. If the task is get fit, the smallest domino is put on my running shoes. If the task is clean the house, the smallest domino is pick up one piece of trash. That's it. That's where you start. Sometimes tasks feel so big they paralyze us. In these moments, break them down into tiny dominoes. Instead of, I have to write an essay, say, I'll just write the title. Instead of, I have to clean the kitchen, say, I'll just wash one plate. Shrinking the task makes your brain relax. And once you begin, the rest naturally follows. Every time you tip a domino, your brain rewards you with dopamine, the chemical of motivation. That's why crossing something off a to-do list feels so good. It's not about finishing the giant task. It's about seeing progress. And progress makes your brain want to keep going. So let's put it all together. Procrastination happens because our brain fears big tasks. The domino rule shows us that the solution is to shrink the task into something so small we can't say no to it. Push the first domino, and the rest will follow. You don't need to move mountains today. You just need to tip that very first piece. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating, remember, don't focus on the giant task. Just look for your first domino. Push it. Let momentum do the rest. And if this idea helped you today, do me a favor, hit the like button so more people can discover it. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because we've got plenty more simple, powerful lessons like this coming your way. Remember, the biggest goals in your life always begin with the smallest step.